Hi everyone, so this is going to be a really quick kind of pretty spring bright lip tutorial because I'm heading out in a moment, but it's really sunny and I felt kind of inspired, so I decided to do a little tutorial. So a few things I want to point out about this look. The first one is I've got a little bit more of a tan. I've used some fake tan, so it is a little bit darker. The second thing that I need to point out is this is obviously quite a bright peachy lip, so if that's not your kind of thing, you might not like this. And third is that I have got an SPF on under my primer, and I've used just a little bit of primer just on my oily areas, and I've only used it in certain areas of my face because I want it to look really natural and pretty and fresh. So I'm going to start with foundation. I'm using NARS Sheer Glow because it's a really great foundation for this time of year, and I'm going to just put a little bit on the back of my hand. I'm wearing a really jingly bracelet, which was probably not the best idea for this tutorial, but hey ho. And I'm going to just start putting this onto my skin, and it's a tiny bit dark for me, but not in a kind of unblendable, offensive way, if you know what I mean. I'm using a stippling brush to just get this into my skin. This is the QVS stippling brush. And as you can see, I'm just kind of pressing it into my skin first. I don't blend it until it's all worked in. And then just start to blend it into the skin. And this is such a beautiful foundation. It is honestly kind of one of my long-time loves, because it just looks so natural and beautiful. And I'm then just going to go over this very lightly with my Real Techniques stippling brush, which looks like this, just to make sure it's totally blended into the skin, and this actually matches my skin really nicely at the moment. Okay, so a really light misting of foundation is already on my skin. I'm now going to just move on to concealer, and I'm going to use a small amount of my Laura Mercier Secret Concealer on a Real Techniques detail brush, and I'm just going to use a small amount of this just to get rid of any really dark circles I might have. So I'm going to just look up and just apply this to the really dark circles. And then just blend that in really easily with my fingers. The reason I just used a tiny bit of that is just to counteract any kind of type of discoloration or colour. And then I'm just going to use a small amount of my Natural Collection. Sorry, not Natural Collection. I always say that it's actually Collection 2000. Lasting Perfection concealer. I'm just going to tap that into place with my finger, and then use a brush to just make sure it's totally blended. Like so. So that's my skin pretty much done. I'm just going to powder using my Rimmel Silky Loose Powder. Just on a big fluffy brush. Now you want to go quite easy on the powder during springtime, because I feel like it can make your skin look a little bit dry and a little bit ashy, but you want your makeup to last and not get oily as well, so just make sure you concentrate it onto the bits where it really needs it, so basically your T-zone. I'm now just going to do a little bit of contouring and bronzing. I'm going to use just a small amount of the MUA bronzer in shade 3, just because it's got quite a cool tone, and I'm using a really small amount because you don't want to go heavy on the contouring in daylight. Just in the hollow of my cheek, and a really small amount if you see how much I'm putting onto the brush. Hardly anything at all, and then I'm just going to blend that in with a little bit of a kind of big bronzing brush. So a little bit of contouring going on, that's great. And then I'm going to use some bronzer just to really warm up my complexion. I'm using the L'Oreal Glam Bronze in Universal Sun, just along my forehead, a bit more on my forehead, bridge of my nose, and the apples of my cheeks. Just kind of where the sun would naturally hit you. I'm then going to move on to brows. Again, really, really pretty and natural looking. You don't want anything harsh in daylight. So I'm just going to brush them up, like so. And then just fill them in using a matte brown shadow. You all know what I'm going to be using. It's the Benefit matte brown shadow from the Princess kit. So just a little bit of that. Just to kind of neaten them up. Give them a little bit of shape. And then I'm just going to brush them through with some clear mascara. This is a really great tip as well because it allows you to keep your brows in place when you sweat and things like that, which is kind of gross to say, but we all know actually does happen. So we've got our brows on. I'm then going to just do my eyes. I'm using a small amount of shadow, and they're both matte shadows, which is quite interesting. Just using a little bit of eye primer. This is MAC Paint Pot in Bare Study. All over my lids. Like so. And then I'm going to use the Urban Decay Naked Palette 2. And I'm going to use this shade right here called Naked, which is just kind of matte, great lid shade. Just using this on a kind of flat eyeshadow brush. Just taking it all over the lid. And it's a really just kind of nice defining way to do your eyes. And then I'm going to use a little bit of this shade right here called Naked. Oh no, sorry, this Naked was the one I just used. Buck is what I'm going to use. Just on a fluffy brush, and I'm just going to take this into my crease. It's a very warm shade, so it's just really pretty, but adds very, very soft definition. Just kind of on the outer V, and then I'm just going to blend it. Like so. So once we've got that down, I'm just going to apply a little bit of mascara. Really, really minimal again. It's really not about the eyes, this look at all. Just kind of get rid of any harsh edges you might still have. And for mascara, I'm using L'Oreal Volume Million Lashes, because I've been loving this at the moment. And I'm just going to apply this and a second coat. And on the other eye too. So we've got our eyelashes done, and then on my lower lash line I'm just going to use a little bit of Benefit They're Real mascara. Just a small amount on my lower lashes. Like so. So that is the eyes completely finished. Just defined but very natural. Then on my cheeks I'm going to use a combo of two products. I'm going to use a little bit of the Body Shop's lip and cheek tint, just because it gives a really kind of pretty, fresh, outdoorsy glow, and you can just tap this in with your fingers. Just a small amount. I'm going to use a cream blush because you want to keep the look very kind of pretty and dewy, and I'm using MAC's blush in something special, this one's called, and it looks like this. It's just a really pretty peachy colour, and I'm using it on a Real Techniques contour brush. Just to add a kind of pretty fresh glow. And it is a really pretty look for spring, having kind of quite heavy blusher, that when it's cream it does just look that much more natural. So there we go, blusher is done, and I'm just going to use a little amount of lip liner and highlight my Cupid's bow. To highlight my Cupid's bow I'm using Benefit's eyebrow pencil, just down the centre of my Cupid's bow, and blended it out. Make sure your lips are well moisturised before you use the bright lipstick as well, because the bright colours obviously exaggerate any lines or dryness you might have. So I'm just using the No. 7 lip liner in Nude. Just very lightly. Just to kind of fill in the edges. I'm going to use the lipstick now straight from the bullet, and I'm using MAC's Vegas Volt, which is a really beautiful, bright, kind of corally peach shade. Kind of matches my nails. So I'm just going to use this straight from the bullet. And I'm going to work it on with my fingers first. To create a stain. So just really work it into your lips, because this is what's going to make the colour last. Like so. And then apply a second layer. Like so. And that is it. That's my kind of pretty easy bright lip spring makeup tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll have a great weekend and are enjoying the really hot weather, and I will see you all soon. Goodbye.